All right, being a bodybuilder who is vegan, I get asked all the time if I'm on steroids, and I also get asked all the time who in the vegan industry is on steroids. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly that. We're also going to take a look at a specific person in the vegan industry and break down an example of whether or not they are on steroids or are not on steroids. So stick around. Let's get into this. What are my thoughts on steroids? Okay, let's just jump into this. When it comes to vegans taking steroids, do I think it's an okay thing to do? Now, here's my stance on it. I think that it's okay for anybody to do anything, honestly, that they want to their bodies, as long as they're not hurting anybody else. So that includes steroids. If you want to take steroids, you want to, take the potential side effects for it and see what you can do with your body, all the power to you. As long as you're not hurting anybody, I don't care at all. I think it's interesting. I think it's cool. But I do think that there is a level of truth that you have to have, because if you are trying to sell programs like workout plans and stuff like that, and you're claiming directly that you're natural, then I think that's, deceptive, and I don't think that's good. I think it's unhealthy for the overall industry, and I also think that people who are coming to you for advice are hoping that they can look like you, and if you're actually not natural, you're giving them false hopes, and then they'll always fall short of it, and I think that can actually be really bad for people's mental health and really just like make people feel bad about themselves. So I think it's okay if you take steroids, but I think if you're telling people that they can be like you naturally, I don't agree with that. I think that's bad. Now, I've been lifting since I was 15. I'm 29 now, so about 14 years of lifting. That's kind of crazy. I always think it's 10 years, but your boy's getting older. People always ask me, have you taken steroids? Are you on steroids? Will you take steroids? All that kind of stuff. And of course, you always get the trolls who are just like, oh, you look anywhere near decent, so you must be on steroids. And especially when you're vegan, it's just impossible for any vegan to have any muscle at all unless they're on steroids. Cue Durian Ryder, who constantly says that I'm on steroids. Have I taken steroids? Unequivocally, absolutely no. I have never taken steroids in my entire life. I've never taken any performance-enhancing drugs in my life. The reason behind that, again, I think it's totally cool if other people do it, but for me, I've always been super scared of the side effects. I don't want to have any problems with my liver. Honestly, don't want to have any problems with, the little guy down there, because a lot of people will get erectile dysfunction, and that is something I am not willing to trade a little bit of extra muscle for. And honestly, I just don't feel like making my whole life super complicated. I love being able to travel anywhere, just go to another country, another state, and I just immediately am able to start lifting. I don't lose a bunch of muscle because I wasn't able to bring a bunch of steroids and whatever else I need to bring with me across seas or through a plane or whatever. So I feel like it just adds a bunch of complication, and it makes your life a lot less free. And I really like the idea that I can just move anywhere, do anything, and I don't lose muscle. I can just continue to gain naturally. Of course, it's slower, but I kind of like that slow progression where over the years you see yourself get better. I'm okay with the slow, long game. I don't need any quick results. Never have I reached a physique throughout that entire time where I felt like I did not look naturally achievable. Now, of course, I'm not taking anything away from myself. I'm not down talking myself or imposter syndroming myself, but being somebody who grew up in the fitness industry, like been doing this for a really long time, and at a certain point, it was my entire life where I was like I was following every single bodybuilder, and I was reading as much information as possible. I was trying to do my very best. At a certain point, I basically didn't have a life. Like, all I cared about was bodybuilding. I was making sure I was getting my 8 hours of sleep. I was getting the exact amount of water that I needed. I was tracking my calories, my macros to a T. Everything revolved around bodybuilding. I didn't have a girlfriend. I wouldn't go out to parties. Wouldn't have alcohol at all. When it came to cheat meals, it would always come up, and then I would just skip them. So I literally never had cheat meals for years. Even with all of that, at my very peak, I still don't feel like it was even reasonable to think that I was on steroids. I think what happens a lot of times is that you have trolls who are just, being trolls. But then also, I think you have people who are genuinely pushing themselves really hard, and they just feel like they haven't got the results that they feel like they deserve. But they're not taking into account that they haven't been lifting as long. They maybe aren't as, intensely obsessed as I was at a certain point. And so to them, it's just unfathomable. But a lot of people aren't taking into account genetics, which brings me to my next point. So to wrap that up, have I ever taken steroids in the past? No. Am I on steroids now? No. And do I have plans to be on steroids or performance-enhancing drugs in the future? No. Now, the next thing that people always ask, because I do know so many, I think I pretty much know all of the jacked vegans in the social media industry. People always ask me for specific examples. They say, is this person on steroids? Is that person on steroids? Their physique looks so good. Their abs look so good. Their delts look so good. Is this person on steroids? And they feel like I'm just going to tell them the answers and I just know everything, right? There is no way that anybody can sit there and look you straight in the eyeballs and tell you that they know whether or not somebody else is on steroids unless that person has publicly told people on their YouTube or their Instagram that they are taking steroids. And here's why. Everybody has different genetics, and there's something inside of all of us called myostatin. And myostatin signals to your muscles when it's time to stop growing, because everybody has a different amount of muscle that their body naturally wants to hold. Now, there's something called myostatin deficiency. Google it, look up myostatin deficiency, pit bull or cow. You'll see these animals that are just absolutely jacked. And I can guarantee you that that pit bull is not shooting steroids. You know, they don't have no thumbs. They can't take no steroids, right? There are people who have myostatin deficiencies as well. So when you see somebody that you're like, I know for sure, just because look at them, they're so freaky. There's still no chance that you can possibly know whether they're on steroids or not. I'm going to give you a specific example, and I'm going to break down somebody who's actually my friend, whether they're on steroids or not. So this guy's actually a really close friend of mine, and we actually competed together at my first vegan competition, so my second bodybuilding competition ever. And he's probably going to watch this video, he'll laugh. But this guy is absolutely monstrous. His delts are crazy. He's so 3D, his bicep, you got them big old chickpea biceps, and pretty much anybody who sees him assumes that he's on steroids. And I know for sure, and Jarrett will watch this video and he'll laugh, there's no way that Jarrett is taking steroids. Again, because Jarrett doesn't have the lifestyle where he's going to be taking steroids and tracking every hour and checking his insulin and doing, you know, different protocols of how much he should be shooting, because he doesn't care about that kind of stuff. He lives a very free lifestyle. But if you saw this guy, I'll probably put him on screen, you probably will be like, gosh, damn, that guy's on steroids. And I for sure 100% know he is not. And so that's just one example of somebody who has freak genetics. It's a thing, and it's not very common, but also people who are really big on Instagram or YouTube and people who have really big physiques are not very common. You don't see that walking around very often, but those people get followers, and then you hyper focus on those people, and then you're just comparing them to every other person or you to yourself, and then you're like, there's just no way that they could be natty. And I'm telling you, a lot of people have great genetics. Some people have myostatin deficiencies. So it's literally impossible for you to pinpoint any specific vegan, no matter how jacked they are, and be like, they 100% sure are on steroids. Now, I know that a lot of you guys are watching, this couldn't be more of an irrelevant topic, but I get this comment every single day on my Instagram and on my YouTube, and I'm tired of using my thumbs to type back the same message all the time. So I want to record a video, get my thoughts out there. It is impossible for me to know if anybody in any industry is taking that beet juice, taking that testosterone boosting ketchup, juicing. It's impossible for me to know. And so I wanted to just get these thoughts right out there in a video so I can reference people to this. Guys, if you've been following my personal life, you may or may not know that I'm about to do a big move. Next week, we move to Arizona for a few months before we start van life. Things are getting hectic around here, so I may miss a video or two here or there, but I'm still here. I'm still gonna bring you awesome content. So I appreciate you guys being here. If you enjoy these videos, if you enjoyed this video, give me a big old thumbs up. Let me know what you think about steroids and if you would ever consider them or if you've ever taken them in the comments below. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and we'll see you beautiful, sexy, amazing people in the very next video. Peace. Team Beyond the Week.